Hello there, my name's Adam Topham. I'm a freelance contractor in the UK. I've already posted a video entitled "If a client wants to push you inside IR35, show them this." That video explains that right of substitution is a legal characteristic of an engagement, not a mandatory process. I'd advise you to watch that video as well as this one because the two logically fit together. In this video, there's one right of substitution CEST question I'd like to delve into in a lot more detail because it has the potential to be a very dangerous banana skin. There's opacity and inference, even heavy weighting and misdirection in this question. Here is the question. For the client, do you, or for the worker, does your client have the right to reject a substitute? Now, what client is ever going to answer a big fat no to that question? Of course they can reject a substitute. What if you sent your hairdresser in to finish off the front-end development on your client's fintech platform? The thing is, it is either a cleverly or an ambiguously or a partially worded question, or perhaps all of the above. And I'm going to now demonstrate that in virtually every freelance contractor arrangement, the answer to this question is indeed, by legal definition, by any legal interpretation, a big fat no. Some clients watching this might be shaking their heads and tutting right now. Please do keep listening. I suspect I'm about to surprise you. First though, we must understand and acknowledge that all of the CEST questions are asked and answered in the context of the contractual arrangement between involved parties. In this contractual arrangement, the limited company service provider is obligated to deliver a service. Now, the full question CEST is asking is, in fact, does the client have the legal right to reject a substitute and still expect that obligation of service delivery to be met by the limited company service provider? Now, of course, that is an entirely impossible expectation unless we place considerable credence upon the notion that a client can force the original contractor to turn up, even in an extremely rare circumstance where there is a totally unavoidable impediment to them doing so. What I'm saying is that in the extremely rare circumstance in which the original contractor themselves cannot make themselves available at a vital juncture in the delivery of their service, they cannot be expected to meet their contractual obligations during that time if the client refuses to continue to consider them responsible for doing so. Arguably, the contractual obligation will be permanently broken. Who knows what lasting and compromising damage a stand-in might do that the originally contracted limited company wasn't responsible for? Now, the other really clever bit about the way this question is asked is that actually a client believes they have no right to select the candidate they want to stand in. They absolutely have that right. The only additional condition is that the limited company service provider retains the delivery responsibility and is the party that will therefore pay the substitute. By any legal definition or interpretation, it of course has to be this way for the contractual obligation to be intact. Again, let me extend the question another way. Does the client have the right to reject a stand-in candidate being engaged as a substitute? In other words, do they have the right to insist the candidate is not the responsibility of the limited company service provider while still expecting said service provider to honour their contractual obligations? It's really, do they have the legal right to reject the substitution process in favour of an alternative engagement process for the same candidate? Obviously, they can't do that and still expect the contract to stand. Now, what that means is that the contractor might feel exposed because how do they protect themselves in terms of the delivery of those obligations by this candidate? And the client may feel exposed because the limited company has no legal control over the substitute resource. That's where we come in. I've launched a company called 34 Square precisely to help industry, to help clients, contractors and agents to neutralise the perceived threat posed by the looming April 2021 reforms. We provide the capability for the limited company service provider to quickly generate a legally binding contract with the substitute company that obligates the substitute to deliver the service in the main contract for the limited company service provider for the period of the substitution, thus providing them and their client with the reassurance and protection they need, and the contractual continuity. Now, once you therefore indisputably answer a big fat no to this question, because there can be no other legally sound response, the next question again has only one legally sound response. Does the worker have to pay the substitute? As per the process I already described, yes, they would. And yes, that absolutely has to be the case in order for the contract to remain legally binding and intact. Now, once you have answered both of these questions in the way I describe, no matter what you answer to any or all of the remaining questions, your determination result will be off-payroll working rules, IR35 do not apply. The explanation you will see is your answers told us your client has accepted or would accept a substitute. In summary, clients, in order to be outside IR35 compliant, all you need to sign up to is a specific flow of funds and a keeping intact of the contractual obligations you are answering the questions about. Essentially, the only commitment you make when you accept the right of substitution is that, yes, the party involved in the contractual arrangement is the worker's limited company, and you permit them to retain responsibility for that as long as the contract is still in play. That's all. You don't have to use it. You don't have to accept any candidate on offer. You don't even have to execute this process. You just have to acknowledge that if the 12th of never actually arrives and you actually decide you need a substitute, you execute the process of engagement a certain way, irrespective of the candidate. You really can maintain business as usual, keep all of your current relationships, and comply with peace of mind and without compromise. We would be delighted to engage in dialogue with clients at no cost to their organisation to help you to optimally and painlessly navigate through CEST. All we are looking for is for your contractors to be members on our platform at a cost to them of less than £200 a year, probably less than 1% of what it costs somebody if that contractor is forced inside IR35. Once they're members, you can assuredly answer the questions the way I describe, and as a result, keep outside IR35 service delivery, this vital UK economy asset, alive. Let me repeat, right of substitution is just a legal characteristic of the engagement, and I hope I've demonstrated that it's impossible to legally keep the contractual obligations in place if you don't sign up to it. If you're a client wrestling with this and you'd like some further advice, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Adam Topham, on LinkedIn or via the contact form on our website at www.34square.com. Thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.